Hello everyone. So this is a tutorial to make a 3D door inside Godot 4, and in this door we will be able to close it and open it inside the editor. This door will have the functionality of a key. We will be able to tell the game if the key starts closed or opened, and well, this is an example. I'm gonna start with a door that's locked. I'm gonna pick a key. This key is only a cube, and I take it and it will destroy the key. And since the key is no longer in the scene tree, I will be able to open the door. And in this tutorial we will have to make the animations and everything. I have a new project here, and as you can see, it's just a simple scene with a CSG box, and this is a very simple character, and it uses the template for 3D movement inside Godot 4, but I added a head node, a camera 3D node which is set on current, and a raycast node when this raycast can collide with areas and bodies. It's enabled, and we have to add the raycast so we can interact with anything in our game. And this is the script of my character. I just initiated the variables of the camera, the raycast, and the head in the first lines, and as you can see, it's just the physics process of the template for the movement, and I only added a few variables here. They are set already, and I just changed a bit of the code. You can copy the code if you want, but it's very simple. Just add the template and add these things. Add the ready, and so it captures the mouse and the process raycast and the rotate camera actions, methods. And also on the input I added a new action map, and this action is called action use, and I trigger it with the E, and I ask it and just press method action use, and if you press the action use key, it will go to the process raycast method. The rotate camera is just for rotating the camera, and it's called in the process. It's pretty. I know it's called in the input. I don't know why I called it in the input. Oh, because it's an event, right? Yeah. Anyways, so we're gonna save this scene, and it's the scene we are using. You can see I can move in the scene, and I will be able to interact with anything that has the action use method, which is called on the action pressed. For the door, it's quite simple, really. I downloaded a 3D model from the internet, and the important thing about this 3D model is that it has to be two separate meshes. Yeah, there have to be two meshes from the door and the frame of the door. And you can use any model you find, or you can even model a door yourself on Blender. It's actually a pretty simple exercise. I have no idea why Godot 4 can't import the materials itself. I guess I will just drag and drop the albedo to the door, since this is just an example, but you can also make your own material by making a resource standard material 3D and just drag and drop in the textures to the material. So to open the door, we're gonna use the animation players, and since my model has two animation player nodes, I'm gonna make my own animation player node. It's gonna be called my animation player. The model has this animation. Is kind of weird, but whatever. We're gonna use our own open and close animations. So I'm gonna make the open animation, and you have to right click the door node and activate the editable children to just rotate the door and not the frame. So let's just rotate the door, the door material, door mesh, not the door frame. So the animations for this are actually quite simple. We're just gonna change the rotation on the y-axis from 0 to -90 on open, and on the closed animation we're gonna do the same. It's gonna start on -90 and it's gonna end up in 0 on the y-axis. I'm gonna add an audio 3D node so we can play the audios inside the animation, inside the animations, and we don't have to call the audios in the script. It's just as simple as adding an audio 3D spatial node and making a new key value, selecting the key and drag and dropping the audio we want this node to play. Remember, the OGG files start with looping, so don't deactivate the looping if it's activated. And you can also find a lot of free sounds on the internet for doors on Free Sound or Open Assets websites. So I'm using the animations to play the audios because I want the closed door audio to play only once the door touches the frame, because else it's gonna be quite weird. So my raycast can interact with any body or area 3D inside my game only if it implements the action use method. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna implement the action use method inside my static body. As you can see, it's quite simple, very easy to interact with anything in your game, in your world. It's just as simple as making a raycast and asking if the thing you collide with on the raycast implements a method. So I'm gonna make two variables here, is open and can interact. Is open means if the door is open or not, and I added the can interact variable, so you can't interact with the door unless the animation has finished. So I'm gonna add a door to my scene. So in the action use, I just told it to print hola, so I know the action use is working. Actually, I'm gonna make the door bigger. I can't see the door because the door is a child of my character, so that's quite funny. And now I have a door. I'm gonna check the visible collision shapes here. I have a door, I have a raycast in my face, and I can't interact with the door yet. Why is it that? Because the door doesn't have a collision shape yet. Remember, the static bodies and the bodies in general need a collision shape, but there's a problem here. The collision shape won't be able to rotate with the door because it can't be a child of the door mesh. The collision shape needs to be a child of the static body 3D. And when we open the door and the collision shape is a child of the static body, the collision shape won't rotate with the door. So as you can see, that's pretty sick. But the solution is quite simple. We are going to animate the collision shape as well inside the animations of open and close. If you know of a better solution for this, well, I will be glad if you told me. Well, I mean, I don't know. You can make the... I have no idea how to fix this. But Well, I just animated the collision shape. It's not difficult, but if I present with this problem with something else more difficult with an enemy or something like that, well, I'm gonna have problems. But this is a simple solution. I'm just going to rotate the collision shape with the door in the animation player. And now we can open and close our door. Isn't that beautiful? Because, well, it gave me an error. I asked the action use with a capital U, but I called the method action use without the capital U. Alright, I can interact with the door already. It only prints hola because I told it to do that in the action use method. But as you can see, it's gonna be quite simple. I also print the thing I collide with when I interact with stuff, so it's gonna be simpler to debug the game later. And for the action use, I'm gonna ask first if the door is locked and if I can interact with the door. And when the door is locked and I can interact with the door, I will call the function open door. And the open door will just play the animation open, but I will also trigger some change in variables. First, I will tell it to not interact, can interact, and I'm gonna say the door is open is true, because the door is now open and my variable is open will be true. And if the door is open and I can already interact with the door, I'm gonna call the function close door, because I want only open doors to become closed doors. And with the closed door, I'm just gonna call the animation close, and I'm gonna change the variable is open to false. The variable is open, well, I think it might not be too needed in this script, but if sometime in the future you want to know if a certain door is closed or not, well, it's better to have this variable. Alright, now we can't close the door because the variable can interact is false always. So I'm gonna connect the signal on my animation player on animation finish to the script, and I'm just gonna change the value of the variable to true. So now I can open and close a door, and it's quite simple actually. I'm gonna duplicate or triplicate my doors, and now we are going to do something quite fun. I need some variables first. There are not many variables. Now we're gonna make our keys, and first we need a variable. They are going to be public variables, and they're gonna be is locked, and if the door needs a key, and what key does the door need. Sometimes in your game you will want doors that are closed but will never be able to open. Sometimes you will have doors that need a key and starts lock. And on the action use, we are gonna first ask if the door is locked. I'm gonna also make an animation for a locked door, which is gonna just play a sound and maybe rotate the door a little bit. There's the audio, there's the locked door, and if your model has a handle, well, this is the time to rotate the handle, and you can also rotate the handle in the open and closing, but this door doesn't have a handle. And there we go. We have a door that's pretty locked. And since the door is locked, I'm gonna play the animation lock door, lock. Alright. Now for the key, we now have a door that's locked, and I will never be able to open it. Oh, why did it open? Oh, right, because I'm asking for an if, but the second doesn't have to be an if, it has to be an elif, because if one of them is true, well, the other ones are not true and will never be able to happen. If the door is locked, I won't be able to open it. I just changed a little bit of the animation here, so it looks, the animation looks, well, the locked animation doesn't open too much. Alright, and now let's make a key. For the script, I'm gonna print, well, I'm gonna ask if the door is locked, and if it needs a key, well, I'm gonna print in the screen, and it needs a key. And now I'm gonna make a little trick here. I don't want to go too deep into user interfaces and ask if the player has an inventory and if the player has a key and if the player opens its inventory and grabs the key, and well, that's too complicated. For this, I'm just gonna ask if the key exists in the scene tree, and if it doesn't exist in the scene tree and I'm trying to open the door, that means the door is unlocked. And since the door is unlocked, well, I'm gonna print door unlocked, and I'm gonna change the variable of is locked to false, and I'm gonna call the function open door. Isn't that more simple than opening your inventory, selecting a key, having a key grab in your hand, using the key, while playing an animation of opening a door with a key? Well, that's too much. We don't need that. But we also have to remember that our keys need to exist in the same scene than our doors, right? So since our door has the variable needed key, and well, and since we can interact with anything in the world that implements the method action use, I can just make a static body 3D and add a mesh instance and add a collision shape, and on the script the only thing I'm gonna implement is the action use method. And since our collider, since our raycast asks for that method, but it will be able to access that method. And I'm just gonna say, well, let's change the material of this key to emissive, or I like yellow or orange. So if you want your key to be an area 3D, you don't need to make this. Maybe sometimes you want your keys to just collide with the character, and if the keys collide with the character, they destroy themselves. So to destroy the key, you just have to call the key-free method. It's quite simple, right? Alright, so we now have some doors, our variables are exposed. I can add a key to the scene. My key is too big and too yellow and doesn't look anything like a key, but you know, you can change the model if you want, or make a model with CSG boxes. I think that's not possible. Never mind that. So I can select the needed key in the inspector of the node, and it will be only able to select static bodies 3D because my variable is of the type static body 3D. Isn't that great? However, well, I'm trying to make my keys of the class name keys and check if I can only export variables of any custom class, but I can't. That's not possible in Godot. You can't export variables of a custom class, which is a shame really, but you can export resources, and I think that's new in Godot 4. I don't remember. But anyways, we now have a game that has a key, I can interact with my key. The key is destroyed, and since the key doesn't exist in the world, I can open my door. Let's try first. Okay, look, let's try first having a locked door. The door is locked, and it works. I can see that it works. Alright, now for our so we can close and open the door inside the editor. To do that, it's actually quite simple. We just have to add the tool keyword in the first line, and when you add the cool keyword to your script, anything that happens in the process will happen in the editor. And you can see I printed hola in the process, and it prints hola even though I'm not running the game. That's because the script is a tool now. So in the process, I'm just gonna say in my variable starts lock is false. I'm gonna rotate the door so it's closed. And if the variable is true, well, it will rotate the door if it's true. But as you can see, my game just broke because of this process function. But to fix this, it's quite simple. This happens because I just want this thing to happen in the editor, but I don't want it to happen in the game. So to fix this, we just have to add the method engine.isEditor hint, and make sure you add the parentheses to call the method, because you can also have this line without the parentheses, but it won't work. So we have it already. We have our door that can have a key, that can open inside the editor, can start, close, or not, etc. That's cool. And I think that this also works in Godot 3. I don't think something changes. Maybe the export variables, or well, actually Godot is quite simple to use, and maybe the most difficult thing in Godot right now when making 3D games is having 3D assets, because it doesn't have an online store. So anyway, that's everything for this video. I hope you liked it, and make sure to like the video, comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.